Welcome back. Today, we are talking about 3 really simple speaking exercises that will make you fluent, that you can practice alone. And I love this topic because many English learners think they need a teacher, a friend, or a classroom to improve speaking. Those things help, of course, but you can also make real progress when you are alone at home, walking outside, or even cooking dinner.
Exactly. Speaking alone may sound a little strange at first, but it is actually very practical. When you practice alone, you do not have to feel embarrassed. You can repeat, make mistakes, stop, start again, and play with the language. That freedom is powerful because speaking becomes a normal part of your day, not a scary test.
The best part is that these exercises do not need special equipment. You do not need a perfect accent before you begin. You do not need 2 free hours. You only need your voice, a little attention, and the decision to practice often. Small moments, repeated many times, can change how comfortable you feel in English.
And comfort is a big word here. Many learners know grammar, understand videos, and read quite well, but when they need to speak, their mind goes blank. These exercises train your mouth and your brain to work together, so words come faster, and speaking feels less like translating every sentence.
In this episode, we will keep everything simple and real. We are not going to give you a complicated study plan. Instead, we will show you 3 speaking habits you can use today. Each one has a clear purpose, better rhythm, faster answers, and more confidence talking about normal life.
Yes, and we will also talk about how to avoid common problems. For example, maybe you feel silly speaking to yourself. Maybe you do not know what to say. Maybe you stop after 2 days. That is normal, and we will give you easy ways to continue without pressure.
So, if you have ever thought, I understand English, but I cannot speak it, this episode is for you. Stay with us until the end, because we will finish with a small challenge that you can do immediately after listening. It will not be difficult, but it will help you take action.
And remember, fluency is not magic. It is not about knowing every word in the dictionary. It is about speaking more smoothly, reacting more naturally, and feeling less afraid. These exercises are simple, but if you use them often, they can become a strong base for your English speaking.
Let us start with exercise 1, shadowing real voices. Shadowing means you listen to a short piece of English and repeat it almost at the same time, like a shadow following a person. You copy the rhythm, the stress, and the music of the sentence. You do not need to understand every tiny detail at first. You are training your speaking muscles.
This is great because many learners speak English with the rhythm of their first language. That is normal, but it can make English sound heavy or slow. With shadowing, you hear how English really moves. You notice where the voice goes up, where it goes down, and which words are strong.
To do it well, choose a very short audio. Maybe 1 sentence, maybe 2 sentences. Listen once without speaking. Then play it again and repeat with the speaker. If it is too fast, pause after small parts. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to feel the sound in your mouth.
I like to tell students to use material they enjoy. A small part of a podcast, a scene from a series, or a simple interview can work. But do not choose something too hard. If the speaker is extremely fast or uses difficult words, you may feel tired. Easy and interesting is better than impressive and stressful.
Another useful tip is to record yourself sometimes. Not every day, because that can feel too serious, but maybe once a week. Record the original audio and then record your shadowing. Listen gently, not like a strict judge. Ask yourself, is my rhythm closer?
That gentle attitude is important. If you only look for mistakes, you will lose motivation. Instead, look for small wins. Maybe 1 phrase sounds more natural today. Maybe you connect words better. Maybe you speak with more energy. These small wins tell your brain that practice is working.
For shadowing, 5 minutes can be enough. Really, choose 1 short piece and repeat it several times. First, slowly. Then, closer to the original speed. Finally, try without the audio and see what you remember. This gives you pronunciation, rhythm, and useful phrases, all at the same time.
And after some days, you may notice something interesting. Certain phrases will come out of your mouth more easily because you have repeated them with feeling and rhythm. That is one way fluency grows. You do not build it only by thinking about English. You build it by using your voice.
Now, we move to exercise 2, the question and answer game. This exercise is simple. You ask yourself everyday questions in English, and you answer them out loud. The magic is that you practice quick reactions. In real conversations, people do not give you 10 minutes to prepare a perfect sentence.
Yes, and the questions can be very normal. What did you eat today? What are you going to do later? What kind of music do you like? The point is not to sound like a philosopher. The point is to answer naturally with simple sentences and keep going even if you make mistakes.
You can begin with easy topics: food, work, family, hobbies, plans, or the weather. Ask one question and give a short answer. Then ask a follow-up question. For example, what did I eat today? I ate pasta. Did I like it? Yes, it was simple but good.
That follow-up question is very useful. It pushes you to add one more idea. Many learners answer with one word because they are nervous. But if you train yourself to add a reason, an example, or a detail, your speaking becomes richer without being complicated.
A good rule is to answer for 30 seconds. Set a timer if you want, but do not make it stressful. During those 30 seconds, try to stay in English. If you do not know a word, explain it with easier words. This skill is very important in real conversations.
For example, if you cannot remember the word kettle, you can say the thing I use to make hot water. That is not perfect, but it works. Fluency is not stopping every time you miss a word. Fluency is finding another path and continuing the conversation.
You can also prepare a small list of questions and reuse it many times. The first day, your answers may be slow. The next day, they become a little faster. After a week, you may answer the same questions with more detail and less fear. Repetition makes the language feel familiar.
And if you want to make it more fun, imagine a friendly interviewer. You are not just studying, you are having a small podcast with yourself. Ask, answer, laugh a little, and continue. When practice feels human and light, it is much easier to do it again tomorrow.
Our next section is exercise 3. Describe your day out loud. This one is perfect because you always have something to talk about: your life. You describe what you are doing, what you did, or what you will do. It turns normal moments into speaking practice.
This is very practical because daily language is the language we use most. You need to talk about waking up, traveling, working, eating, feeling tired, making plans, and solving small problems. If you can describe your day clearly, you are already building useful fluency.
You can start with the present moment. For example, I am making coffee. I am looking for my keys. I am walking to the bus stop. These sentences are simple, but they train you to connect English with real actions. That connection helps words feel more natural.
Then you can move to the past. At the end of the day, say what happened. I had a meeting. I bought some fruit. I called my sister. Maybe it was a boring day, and that is fine. The goal is not drama. The goal is regular speaking.
You can also add feelings and reasons. Instead of saying, I worked today, say, I worked today, and I felt tired because I had many emails. That little because is powerful. It makes your sentences longer, clearer, and more connected, but still easy to control.
I agree. Connectors like because, but, so, and then are small, but they help you sound more fluent. You do not need difficult grammar to speak better. Sometimes you only need to connect simple ideas. Simple ideas connected well can sound very natural.
A nice version of this exercise is the quiet narrator. Imagine you are the narrator of your own life. You can say, "Now I am cleaning the table. I do not want to do it, but it will look better. Later I will watch a film." It feels playful, and that helps.
And because you are alone, you can be honest and funny. You can say, "I am looking for my phone again because I always lose it." Real language comes from real moments. When you speak about your actual life, your English becomes more personal and easier to remember.
Now, let us talk about how to build a simple practice routine. The biggest mistake is trying to do too much at the beginning. You feel excited, you practice for a long time, and then you disappear for weeks. A small routine is better because it fits into real life.
Exactly. I would start with 10 minutes a day or even 5 if your schedule is busy. The important thing is to make the practice easy to start. If you need a lot of energy, you will avoid it. If it feels light, you will return to it more often.
Here is a simple plan. On one day, do shadowing. On the next day, play the question and answer game. On another day, describe your day out loud. You can rotate the exercises so your practice does not feel boring, but your brain still gets regular speaking time.
You can also connect practice to something you already do. For example, after brushing your teeth, answer one question in English. While walking to the shop, describe what you see. Before going to bed, say 3 things that happened. This is called attaching a habit to another habit.
Another helpful idea is to choose a place for practice, maybe your bedroom, your car, your kitchen, or a quiet street. When your brain connects that place with English speaking, it becomes easier to begin. The place becomes a signal. Now I use my English voice.
And please keep it flexible. If you miss a day, do not say, "I failed." Just continue the next day. A routine is not a prison, it is a support. The goal is to create many chances to speak, not to feel guilty about being human.
If you want to measure progress, use simple signs. Do you start faster? Do you pause less? Do you feel less nervous when you hear your own English? These signs matter. Speaking progress is often slow and quiet, but after some weeks, you can feel a real difference.
I love that, because many learners wait for a huge moment when they suddenly become fluent. But most improvement is smaller. One day you answer faster. Another day you remember a phrase. Another day you speak without panic. Those small changes are the path to fluency.
Let us look at common problems and easy fixes. Because speaking alone is simple, but it can still feel strange. The first problem is feeling silly. You may think, "Why am I talking to myself?" But remember, athletes train movements alone. Musicians practice alone. And language learners can train speaking alone too.
That is a great comparison. Nobody thinks a singer is strange because she repeats one line many times. Speaking is also a physical skill. Your tongue, lips, breath, and brain need practice. So when you speak alone, you are not being silly. You are training a real skill.
Another problem is freezing because you do not know what to say. The fix is to use prepared starters. For example, today I want to talk about, I think that, in my opinion, the reason is, or let me explain. These starters give your sentence a beginning, and beginnings are often the hardest part.
Yes, sentence starters are like handles on a door. They help you open the conversation. You can keep a few in your memory and use them again and again. This is not cheating. Native speakers also use common phrases to give themselves time to think.
A third problem is stopping every time you make a mistake. This is very common. But in speaking practice, try not to repair everything immediately. If you stop too much, you train stopping. Sometimes it is better to finish your idea first and correct 1 or 2 things later.
That is so important. Accuracy matters, but fluency needs movement. Imagine riding a bike and stopping every second to check your shoes. You cannot move forward. In speaking, you need some flow. You can review mistakes later, but during the exercise, keep the river moving.
The last problem is impatience. You practice for a few days and think, why am I not fluent yet? But speaking grows with repeated contact. Think of it like watering a plant. You do not see big change every morning, but if you continue, the plant becomes stronger.
And the good news is that these exercises are easy to repeat. They do not require money, travel, or another person. You can do them in private, at your own speed, with topics that matter to you. That makes them realistic, and realistic practice is the practice that survives.
Now, it is time for our final challenge and goodbye. But before we say goodbye, we want to give you something practical. After this episode, choose one exercise and do it today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Make it small enough that you cannot say no.
Here is the challenge. Practice for 5 minutes. If you choose shadowing, repeat a short audio. If you choose questions and answers, answer 3 simple questions. If you choose describing your day, talk about what you did this morning. 5 minutes is enough to begin.
And while you do it, please do not wait to feel completely ready. Ready often comes after action, not before it. Start with imperfect English. Start with pauses. Start with simple words. The important thing is that your voice meets the language again and again.
That is a beautiful way to say it. Your voice needs a relationship with English. Not only your eyes, not only your ears, but your voice. These 3 exercises help you build that relationship in a calm way, without pressure and without waiting for perfect conditions.
Let us quickly remember the 3 exercises. First, shadowing helps your rhythm and pronunciation. Second, the question and answer game helps you react faster. Third, describing your day helps you use English for real life. Together, they make speaking less strange and more natural.
And remember, you do not have to do all 3 every day. Choose the one that feels easiest today. Tomorrow, you can choose another one. The best exercise is the one you actually do. Simple practice, repeated often, can take you very far.
So, thank you for spending this time with us. We hope you feel encouraged, not overwhelmed. Speaking English can become part of your normal life, one small moment at a time. Try the challenge today, be kind to yourself, and notice every small step forward.
Yes, thanks for listening. We are cheering for you. Put your English voice into the world, even if the world is only your bedroom today. We will see you in the next episode, and until then, keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep it simple.